This is Real Oregon Lifestyle with Andrea Fay and Jenn Fiddler, two licensed real estate brokers who share their love of all things Oregon.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea Fay.
And I'm Jenn Fiddler.
And welcome to Real Oregon Lifestyle. Today, we've got one of Jen's favorite subjects when it comes to real estate, and that is wake-up money. What is wake-up money? And how is this going to benefit our lives? So Jenn, go ahead and start off and at least explain what wake-up money is.
Yeah, wake-up money is the idea that you use rental income as basically money that you wake up with in your mailbox. And the term came from a coaching group that Andrea and I do called Ninja. And they developed a program on how to get especially first-time investors to start investing in real estate and see it as either a source of retirement or paying for college tuition for kids. There's a variety of different ways to use rental properties to make money. And that idea of wake-up money is that you purchase a rental property, you have a renter and they're paying the rent, and then you're also getting the benefit of them paying down your mortgage as well as appreciation on the property. So you kind of get the double benefit plus the tax benefits and write-offs of owning rental property.
That's a great explanation. What's interesting is Nathan and I we're newlyweds, and so we're just beginning to go down that road. And right now we are, working on making sure we've got a good down payment to be able to, start down this rental property road. But for most people that don't own rentals or don't have experience with that, what is the typical down payment that you need to have for this?
You're going to get your best rates with 20 to 25% down if you're getting a loan for a rental property. And that sounds like a lot, and I totally understand that. But a lot of my first-time investors use the equity in their current home, or they use their first home as their rental, and then buy a move-up house is basically what I call it, and keep the first one as a rental. So there's easier ways to get started in investing than having that 20 to 25% down.
Yeah, the more I think about it and the more we work towards our goal, the more excited I get. And I think everyone else is going to get really excited when they see the numbers too. So Andy, can you go ahead and we've got a nice visual to give everyone a great example of what that really looks like. And Jenn, go ahead. You worked these numbers up, and these are just, this is just an example.
Yeah, I actually used my own. I have a condo in Sherwood that we bought a couple years ago. Purchase price was $240,000. Down payment, I put $65,000 in there. So assuming your closing costs are about 2.5%, your initial investment is $73,125. I actually get $1,950 a month in rent. It does have some HOA dues with that one. I put in property management of 10%, plus I give a little bit of a buffer for maintenance or items that might come up. The HOA covers all exterior maintenance on that one, so I don't put a lot of money in there for extra buffer on that one because it's such an easy one to maintain. So if you scroll down a little bit, Andy, so 5 major benefits of owning wake-up money are obviously cash flow. So you're going to get 4.75% cash flow, which is, I think, $289 a month. Debt reduction is obviously just the amount the principal gets reduced the first year. So that return on investment is 4.21. Your tax saving, so the depreciation that you can take when you're doing your taxes, and then also appreciation. I have a modest 4% value increase. We've seen higher appreciation this last year, but I think in a normal market, about 4% appreciation is pretty good. So your possible return on investment in that first year is 22%. And I don't know about the real or the stock market. That's, yes, I have retirement accounts and things like that, but I don't understand it. Where this, like, what I love with rental properties is that I understand it. It's an actual asset that you have. You have a house, you have somebody else paying for it. And I don't know anywhere else you can get 22% return on your money.
There really isn't any place else, I mean, that I'm aware of that you can get a return like that. And I think it's really exciting to be able to see how this all works. I think a lot of people think, oh, I want to buy a rental, and they're overwhelmed by the idea of it. But it's actually much more simple than people think, I think. And it is a really, there's ways that you can get into it, and it can be much more simple than what most people make it out to be. So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah, your example with moving up and purchasing a new home and then keeping the old home as a rental. That is a great way to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
Yeah.
ask, one of the major concerns that people have talked to me, and honestly, it's something that I'm concerned with about when I go to either sell or rent out my home, is the maintenance. You're concerned with the maintenance. How does that all work? Is there anything that you can say or speak to that, with your own experience?
Yeah, I can say that for the rental properties that I have, I keep a home warranty on them. So, things like the water heater, if that needs repair or something goes out on the property, it's worth the $400 a year or whatever it is to make a $55 service call, have them come out and repair. The other thing that I think for a lot of people is having a property manager is a really good idea because they're going to do their quarterly inspections. They're going to check in on items. A lot of property management contracts just have a certain set amount. Let's say anything under $500, they just take care of. They don't even contact you as the owner. Anything above that amount, they contact you. Um, for the most part, I've had really, really good luck and not really had to do a lot of maintenance on my own properties. I think if that's a concern, definitely pick one with an HOA that covers exterior maintenance, or pick one that's newer. If you know that, a 1950s house versus a house built in 2000, if you're looking at those two as a side by side comparison, go with the newer built house and you're going to have less problems and issues.
I would agree with that. Yeah, going a little bit newer might actually be a saving grace. You might pay a little bit more for it, but in the long run, I think that you will be doing less maintenance on it. And there are some. I mean, you can't control all the renters that you get in there. It, there are people that experience some renters that just trash the place, but I think that's actually not as common as you hear about.
Yeah, I think that's the number one and number two fears that people who are thinking about getting into investing in real estate have, and that's how do I handle maintenance, and what if this renter, completely trashes the place? And I would say for the most part, people have pride in where they live, and that really hasn't happened. Yes, you may have to replace carpet and paint and things like that. You may get a renter that does that, but just have a maintenance fund. And I've had plenty of times where I've had to replace carpet and things like that. There are some unexpected things that come up, but if you're making, for this example, $289 a month on year one, start saving and putting some of that money away.
Mhm.
And if you go back to the spreadsheet, Andy, and you look at the 10-year view, the cash flow really starts to increase because as rents increase and over time, I think the 10-year view was like 600 and something dollars a month in cash flow.
Mhm. And that also depends on, what is your goal with this investment? Is this going to be a long-term thing? Or do you actually want to be able to collect some money out of this? And depending on what that goal is, if you actually want to get cash out of this every month, those numbers can be configured so that works for you for the most part. And of course, the property that is purchased needs to make sense for that property too. But you know, cash flow is great, but cash flow may not be the goal all the time either.
Right. There's a couple of different strategies. Some people I know want to go for cash flow. Some people are fine really not making anything every month, just knowing that in 30 years this is going to be paid off. And in 30 years, you can figure that rent will probably be 3 times the amount it is. This is an example that is truly, to be honest, hard to find, because it's hard to find anything in that $250,000 price range anymore that's decent, and you can still get as much as $1,950 for rent. But I think even if you're at that 400,000 mark up here in the Portland area, you're going to be guaranteed over $2,000 a month. And I'm just shocked when I start talking to property managers at what people get for rent around here. So,
Same thing in the Corvallis area. It's rents are really high, and even though there is more college rentals that have been coming to the market, more apartments and things like that, the rents I think have stayed very, very steady, and you can still get a pretty good rental rate out of everything. So yeah, I think that goes along with our housing shortage. It's a matter of having enough homes, period, on the market to support all the human beings that need shelter.
yeah.
And rentals are included in that. So, the other thing that I remember about this is with appreciation. Right now, you mentioned that before, that you had just calculated 4%, and we always recommend to not, don't bank on appreciation, because we don't always know what the market's going to do. We have an idea right now that we're still going to be in a housing shortage for quite some time. And so we are probably still going to see some appreciation, but you shouldn't ever bank on it.
Yeah, there's always ups and downs in the market. And I think the great thing about real estate, and really the idea behind Wake Up Money, is to keep these properties until they're paid off for,
Mhm.
15 or 30 years. And I know personally, we don't have 401ks, we don't have, employer contributions. So that's kind of my retirement, is these homes that I purchased that'll be paid off hopefully around the time I'm about 60, and at that point, I don't really care what they're worth, because it's just monthly income to me. And, if I were to sell them at that point, I'm going to take a pretty hefty tax hit on them. So,
That is very true. But it is a good way. You're right. It's a great way to keep on saving, and have somebody else help you save. Um, and everybody needs a place to live, whether that's purchasing a home, or actually renting a home. At the end of the day, everyone needs a place to live. So that's going to stay pretty steady, I think. What's interesting is I had this week, I still keep getting questions. Well, oh, well, when is the market going to drop in price again? People still keep asking me that. And I'm like, well, I just don't see that in the future for a while. And, in order for that to change, we would have to see a lot of homes enter the market. And that could be also a mix of rental property too. But lots of inventory would have to come to the market for that to change. So I don't see prices dropping at all. And that also affects your investments too.
right.
Yeah. So Andy, it looks like we maybe have some listener questions.
We do. Actually, one of them's mine.
Oh, okay. Well, you are a listener.
Yeah, I am. Speaking of rentals, you guys. So, Jen, when you were here, I don't know if you noticed, but my property is kind of sectioned off in half. We have a fence that runs about halfway across the property for our animals, our garden, and of course, I have a big shop on the backside of my property. When I go to rent this house, should I be concerned about how we have everything set up? Because right now it's sort of like the first half an acre is just normal house with a yard and everything, and then my back half acre is animals, huge garden, shop, that sort of thing. How do I market that, or should I only rent the front half of my property? It's something that I've struggled with. Do you guys have advice for me?
I would say that a rental with a shop would probably be highly desirable. I would think that that would be high in demand, and, just possibly be okay with somebody, not keeping up on the garden and the yard work and stuff like that, or put it into your contract that you're going to have that hired out if somebody is not willing to do it. But I would think a place with a shop would be super desirable.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like all of my animal pens, those won't be detrimental if I go to rent it?
It depends on if you're going to allow them to have animals. That might be attractive for some people. There are rentals where people are going to have animals. It just depends. You would probably need to put some limits on what animals are there, just to make sure you can control the maintenance of the property. Would you agree with that, Jen?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You could always retain the right to have access to that back property or not necessarily rent it. You might just get a couple $100 a month less.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair enough.
Mhm.
And speaking of, we do have a listener question from Heather. She is wondering if now would be a good time for her to refinance her rentals in order to pay for other things. And when she refinances, should she convert her 30-year into a 15-year? Take advantage.
Those are all good questions, and rates are still very low. So I don't see any reason. I mean, I guess it just depends on what she's got for, a mortgage right now, what her rates are right now. Um, they're really low right now. And so if she was able to refinance and that makes a big difference in her payment and her goals, then I would say yes.
Especially if somebody's had it for a while where the mortgage is way less than what the rent is, and you could switch to a 15-year fix to get it paid off and still have the rent cover, I would say go for it.
Mhm.
If you're, 25 out of 30 years into a loan, it probably wouldn't be a good time to refinance. I don't know. It would just depend on the whole overall goal and financial picture. But I do know a lot of people that have taken home equity lines of credit on their rentals in order to pay for more rentals. And that's another strategy that savvy investors use a lot.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. And it is a great way to do it because you can just leverage. You've got cash there. There's some equity there. So why not use it?
So if a person purchased their house with less than 20% down and had to get the mortgage insurance, maybe now is a good time to get that mortgage insurance taken away and just split the difference, huh?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm. So long as the equity's there, I think they're in a good place.
Fantastic. There you go, Heather. Thank you for
Mhm.
your questions. And I have one more thing for you guys, actually.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
one more thing from me. I have to give you props because I really took everything you said to heart a couple of weeks ago. And over the weekend, we put our back patio up.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
This was the end of day one. I went to Home Depot first thing in the morning and purchased all of the lumber. This was the end of day two. And we have all the pavers and everything. Still a bit more digging out to do. And then, of course, gravel, sand, we'll put the pavers down. But we do have the pavers. They nearly overloaded my pickup.
Yeah, those things are heavy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really good.
I had the opportunity to eat out under that cover the other day. We social distance dinnered. If
It's
you can-
20 feet by 12 feet. So we got plenty of space.
There was lots of space, yeah. But it was nice because it was really cool under there, and you guys kind of had. I mean, you do a lot of outdoor things anyway, so it makes perfect sense a patio. And then this one just didn't. Your house just didn't have any kind of patio or area for gathering outside. So you guys are on the right track on that.
Well, I appreciate that. And thank you guys for the motivating push that we needed.
Yeah, well, I'm
Absolutely.
glad that you're able to. You know what? With COVID, life is too short. You might as well enjoy it while you're here, right?
And
Absolutely.
18-month financing on purchases over $1,000 on your Home Depot card. It's kind of hard to go wrong.
There you go. Well, that's awesome. Well, I think unless we have some more listener questions, I think that we're out of time for right now, right?
I think so.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Again, this is Real Oregon Lifestyle. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Go ahead and like us, share us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.